welcome to Hajime inside USA Judo's interview series. I'm your host, Hannah Martin, and I'm here today with Kristin El Idrissi. She is part of the Kata Pan American, well, she was part of the Kata Pan American team. She is two times bronze medalist at the Senior Nationals, and she also just came back and you competed like a couple weeks ago, actually, at the national championships. But you also were, you could talk about this in a second, actually, but you also were a national champion in kata. So you are doing amazing things in kata, and you're also a mother of two. So I said all I could say. And there's so much more about you, but welcome, Kristen. How are you?
I'm good. Good.
Good. How are you today? It looks like it's very warm over there in
In Philly, yeah.
Philly.
It
I forgot where
it's
you were.
feeling like summer today. And
Yay.
I'll apologize because I have my 4-month-old is next to me. So if you hear some gurgling,
Oh,
she's
okay.
joining
Is she
us.
sleeping or is she just hanging out?
She's hanging out.
Oh, great. Well, hi. What's her name?
Layla.
Hey,
She
Layla.
likes being around all the strong judo ladies. That's all.
Oh my gosh, love it. Well, welcome Layla to the show. We're happy to have you listening in as well. So yeah, before we dive in, let's just actually talk about what you just recently accomplished because, like you said, you have a 4 month old and you just competed in the Kata Senior National Championships a few weeks ago. So tell me how this went and yeah, how was it being back in the competition, Matt?
It was wonderful. It was a mixed feelings for me. I competed in Goshen, in Katame, and then I didn't compete in Nage, which is like my original kata that I love so much. But
Okay.
um, being so soon off having a baby, taking 30 break falls for me,
Mhm.
like my body wasn't ready for it. So sad watching the Nage people and not able to do it, but also I was proud of myself. Um, we took fourth in Katame,
Mhm.
almost medaled, and took second in Goshen and qualified for Pan Ams. And
Awesome.
yeah,
Congrats.
yeah. So
Yay.
it was there was a lot to be proud of and a lot of work to keep doing. So it
Yeah.
was
Wow. Well, like really, like 4 months postpartum, it's yeah, a lot to manage training and to manage your body. Your body is like healing basically from everything. So yeah, that's actually really amazing. And it's really cool because also you qualified for the Pan Ams. And like that's amazing. So you just think how much better you're gonna be like in a few months from now when the Pan American Championships are. So great.
yeah.
Where are they? Where are the kata?
They're going to be in Mexico this year.
Awesome.
Um, it's
Okay.
a little bit of a bummer. It was going to be in the US this year, but
Oh,
I mean, they move around the kata and the veteran stuff
yeah.
frequently. So you
Yeah,
just
even here
roll
in
with
Europe
it.
too, they're always like they're juggling like who wants to host it. It's a lot to host the event. Even the veterans in kata, it's yeah. So maybe next year. Maybe it'll be in
I
the
know. I know.
US. All right, so that's amazing. That's what's currently going on with you. Let's talk about, we're here to, talk about kata and how you got into kata. So first tell me about your roots, how you started judo. How did that all begin for you?
So, I started judo because my parents did judo, and my dad had a dojo, and you're the little rugrat on the side of the mat begging to get on the mat at 5 years old.
Mhm.
And so I did judo with my dad until I was a teenager, like 13. And then, as many people in judo experience in the US, I wanted to do like normal sports and quit.
Mhm.
I was doing all the fun high school softball, tennis, all that stuff, and I got into wrestling. And then after college, I had gotten full-time job and still wanted to wrestle.
Mhm.
But where I moved after college, their wrestling was not as strong as their judo in that area. So at 22, I got back into judo because it's more fun than just lifting at the gym.
Yeah.
So
I know this right now. I know this because like I
yeah,
do
yeah,
my doing judo right now, and I'm like lifting, and I'm like, is this so boring? I don't know.
it's like I love lifting when I was competing because it was
Yeah,
like, all right, I want to get stronger for my matches. I want
yeah,
to, I want to be the strongest in the division. There's
yeah,
like a
yeah,
real purpose for every lift,
yeah.
but just by itself, you're like, oh,
Yeah, you're like, am I lifting just to get like a bigger booty? Like, huh? Like, what am I doing? Like, because before there was a meaning behind it. Like, yeah, like you said, like I'm lifting for performance and to
yeah,
be stronger than my opponent, and now you're just lifting because you're like, okay, I guess I just want to like not be weak. I want to be
stay
able to like pick up
strong.
my child, and or your two kids that you have. I don't know how you're managing this, but
Yeah, carrying two is like hilarious. They're moving all the time. And
yeah, they never like just sit. They never just like sit there. They're
right.
it's like I don't know. They just can't sit still. But that's okay. That's fine. So let's talk about one of your. So you came back at 22, and then so yeah, you started competing again because I remember you competing at the local tournaments because we are very close. We live very close to each other. I'm from upstate New York. You are, yeah, it's just the
I
East
was up in Rhode
Coast
Island. Yeah.
area. There was a million of local competitions that were amazing. Really good level of judoka. Also, like driving to Montreal and not so far away, we had like rendezvous and Quebec Open, and yeah, it was really a great time actually. This period, I think. And yeah, so I saw you a lot. I think you came and trained at Jason Moore's Judo Center a few times with Ala. I think I remember.
Yep.
So yeah, talk to me about, coming back after the break and then yeah, competition and like what was like some of your most memorable moments?
So for me, coming back as an adult was hard because
Mhm.
people my age were black belts and they'd gone through the whole teen year, so it was hard to come back and like catch up to where people were. So I was happy when I got on the roster, and
Yeah.
then I really wanted to uh place at nationals. So it was like huge for me to place at nationals. And then I really wanted to be able to compete internationally. And, so I had lots of like little stepping goals that were a big deal to me.
Hmm.
I got one year they had like a weird thing with the rules, and I was able to qualify to go fight in Turkey at like a Grand Prix. And I was like, that was huge because I felt like I was in the match.
Hmm.
Didn't win, but I fought well and I left feeling like my judo was good. And
Yeah.
so for me, that was kind of like, you know, I knew I was older. I knew there wasn't a lot
Yeah.
further for my career to go, but like that my judo was in it. And
Yeah.
my husband's favorite story is I quit work and we traveled for 6 months and trained overseas
Hmm.
because um, I'd been working full time and was, waking up 5 and lifting and then after work doing judo. And so I was
Yeah.
like, let me see judo overseas before I have kids and before I become a real adult. And at one of the training camps, Clemendi like followed me into the bathroom to ask to do a round with me. And he was like, that's it. That's you can quit judo now. Like it's
Wow. So for our listeners, yeah, Melinda Clemendi, she was one of the best 52 kilo players in this moment. Olympic champion, yeah, like world champion.
yeah.
So yeah, to be followed, that's
Uh,
amazing. That's actually like props to you, It means like she saw you and she wanted to train with you. It means something. That's amazing. That's actually really,
felt
really
good.
cool.
So um So I've been doing Shiai. Stuff was great. And a friend of mine who lived locally was working towards her black belt.
Hmm.
So her club, she had to do all the kata. And I was like, I love you. I'll be your kata partner. Like most people that compete Shiai, you don't necessarily do the kata when you
Yeah.
get your black belt.
Hmm.
So for me, it was also a good learning opportunity.
Yeah.
Uh, And then while she's working towards her black belt, AM cams were coming up and they always had kata. And so we're like, let's go fight Shiai. And while we're there, we'll enter the kata division. Like,
Hmm.
why not? We're there
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Um, and the kata people were just like so nice, and the environment was so fun. We had donuts and there were beers while people were waiting for their scores to come in. They were just relaxed and like, hey, you did a great job, and you did a great job, and I'll help you with this. Like, just very loving.
Hmm.
And we got hooked on doing the kata tournaments at that event.
So it's the community, huh, that like brought you in, drawed you into the kata,
The kata world,
to
yeah.
the kata world. Um, so you decided you did kata to help your friend, to help like a teammate, basically, and then you
Yeah.
just stuck with it. Like, how
Well,
did
it
you
was
like
a
gradually get into the kata? Yeah.
um so COVID happened.
Yeah.
And so training shifts during COVID. And during COVID, I got pregnant. So training shifts when you get pregnant.
Yes.
And so as I was coming back out of locked doors and having a newborn, getting back on the mat and training the way I used to train, like it just wasn't as big of a priority to me anymore.
Hmm.
Uh, but it felt easier to say like, hey, I'd love to get together for an hour with my friend and do a little kata and practice that and put on
Yeah.
some music and dance around and do judo that's in a controlled setting.
Hmm.
Um, and so that was my way of like getting back onto the mat a little bit.
Hmm.
And then it kind of just slowly grew, a year passed and then it was like, oh, well, maybe we learn another kata. And then another year passed. And you're like, let's go to some of these clinics that are nearby. And you become friends with people in the kata community and you get invited. Like, we went to the Kodokan. We've gone up to stuff in New York and Montreal and California. Like there's a lot of stuff all over the country that you
Yeah.
can go to with friends and learn judo and more about judo
Hmm.
in its entirety, not just the Shiai part,
Yeah.
the history of it. And it just was fun to like learn something new in
Hmm.
a less stressful environment. I don't
Yeah, no, like I am one of those athletes that never did kata before, and I respect it. Kind of like crazy because it's like it's the sport of judo, but it's like a completely different sport, like when I look at it. And it's just so I respect it. And yeah, like young athletes, people that are really, competitive judo, they maybe like I will say, I'm gonna say look down on kata athletes and players, and they don't respect it as much. But I totally respect it because I actually think like I can't do it. You guys practice just a different way, controlled practice, like you said, which I think is a very good way to say this because when you're doing randori, it's not controlled and it's can be very scary, especially as someone who's coming back from having a baby and you're a mother and you're like, okay, I can do randori with some of these young kids, but if I hurt myself, can I take care of my kids the next day?
yeah,
This
yeah.
this their mindset changes a little bit, and I also felt this when I came back and competed. I was a little bit more I I had a little bit in my head like, oh, if I get injured, like I won't be able to take care of my daughter. Like this thing
Yeah.
came in the back of my head. So I actually like that you said that kata is control. Like there is always possibilities of getting injured in anything you're doing, but it's l less of a risk. Yeah. Um, yeah. So I think it was very, very interesting to say that. So yeah, talking a little bit more about kata.
Yeah.
Like try to, if you were talking to a young version of yourself or of me, how would you like, convince me to do kata?
Um, I think there's a place for kata.
Hmm.
Um, I think that for me personally, my overall judo has improved from learning kata.
Hmm.
because you have to take time and really understand the real importance of kazushi and it not being like yanking with your hands, like really your whole body
Hmm.
moving all together, engaging your core in every movement to optimize and make things as efficient as possible when you're working with someone else. So um I don't necessarily think that if you're currently like full on Shia that you need to go around doing a ton of kata,
Hmm.
but maybe 10 minutes after practice here and there
Hmm.
to like slow down and really think about like what is my foot doing, my arm doing, my core like what is everything doing all together?
Yeah.
That is going to help your movement across the board.
Yeah.
Um, and maybe it's not always Nage no kata, right? Like everyone thinks kata, they immediately think these throws in this order.
Hmm.
But I know like when my dad was doing judo back in the day, his Japanese coach, he had them doing Juno kata to help with their movement, right?
So what is Juno Kata? I don't I know the names, but I don't know what the difference is. So tell me. So what are the katas?
So there's Nagi no kata is stand up shiai. So
Hmm.
you've got 15 throws that you do that showcase kind of what shiai is. Hip throws, foot techniques, counters, right?
Hmm.
Then you have Katame no Kata, which showcases mat work shiai. So the pins, the chokes, and locks.
Hmm.
Um, and then we've got Juno Kata, which is the gentleness. So it's very slow. It's the one that looks kind of like ballet, where
Hmm.
it's the movement together.
And
And
the posing with the feet
they lift them
I
up,
look
and their
like
feet are
photos
really
like
high in the air.
the feet are pointed and looks so like ballet or like
But those, when
skating
they're holding
kind.
them like that, they're going in for like ogoshi, and they're going in for a seanagi.
Oh wow. It really looks so beautiful. This pose, I guess I would say. I don't know if it's a pose, that's the right term, but um
Yeah, the person who is uke, they're putting their body in the perfect position so that uh their weight is like totally controlled and their whole body is totally controlled. So like if you're able to do that on a in kata, like think of the control you'll be able to have when you're fighting someone.
yeah.
To really
Yeah.
be able to move everything all together, if you can keep your body like this on the top of someone's back, like
Yeah. It's like really working coordination, which sometimes you don't have some athletes maybe don't know how to coordinate their body all the way. So it actually helps you to focus more on coordination and how to use your body for a technique because sometimes we just do the technique not even realizing
not
what we're
thinking about it.
doing. Yeah, because it's like,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah,
like different viewpoints, I think, of how to do judo. So you named three already or do
yeah.
four?
I named three. So then there's Goshen and Katame are both like self-defense katas. So when you see them, there's sticks or guns or weapons, and it's a lot of like how you would do judo on the street.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then there's some more obscure ones, Itsutsu and Kushiki, which
Okay.
are like if you Kushiki's like if you're in armor, so you're walking around like pretending you had armor on from like way back in the day.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And Itsutsu is kind of like how judo mimics nature. So they do a lot of like you move like the wave in and out of
Like
throws, or you
Taiso? I don't know if I've heard of this before, but yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah, Chinese martial art
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah. Wow.
So, um, all if you learn like all the katas,
Hmm.
it gives you a better understanding of like the full perspective Kano had when he was like putting together judo and like
Yeah.
taking pieces from all different martial arts and putting it together.
Hmm.
Um, but I will say in terms of like convincing someone to do it, right? Uh, not everyone's a Shiai player,
Yeah.
first of all,
Hmm.
right? There's people meant for reffing. There's people that are great practice room partners. There's people that love judo and they never want to compete.
Hmm.
There's perfectionists that they
Yeah.
just want everything perfect. So there's a lot of people that why not try kata because it might be another piece of judo that you find a lot of joy in.
Hmm.
But also when I'm practicing, we practice it the same way we practice a regular judo practice. We don't do a lot of the knee walking and walking perfectly and all the boring parts
Hmm.
of kata that I zone out when I'm
Yeah.
watching other people do.
Hmm.
Uh, we get into the pin and you try to escape 3 times. I try to block your escape and get into the pin and then really escape and then get into the pin and I'm going to try to block again. And you're drilling. You're
Yeah.
drilling
Basically drilling. Yeah. Yeah. So,
so
okay. So tell me a little bit about, the scoring aspect of kata because you even for I think judo, the shiai part, we're also confused about the scoring sometimes, I'm gonna say. How is the scoring? Is it like it's not you don't get yukos, wazaris, ippons. It's not like this. You have a point system and um so it's almost like, when they're doing gymnastics and there's referees. Do they call you don't call them referees. What do you call
they
them?
call them judges.
Judges.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know why I said the judges are judging you and deducting points based on whatever. So how do they deduct the points and what's the best point? Is it 10 like usual or okay.
10 is perfect, right?
Okay.
Um, you never get a 10.
Okay.
But you get points for each and every move in the kata.
Okay.
So they'll score your opening ceremony, how you're getting on the mat and bowing in, and your closing ceremony. But
Hmm.
then for each and every technique, you can get up to 10 points, right? And so they'll start you with 10, and there's a rubric that the IJF has out that tells you, hey, if you make a medium mistake, you lose this many points. Make a
Okay.
small mistake, you lose this many points. And here's a medium mistake. It's you didn't off balance the person,
Hmm.
right? So -5, you're down to a 5 point, you know. And a small mistake is you didn't enter with your right hand correctly. You had it in the wrong spot. So you get a small deduction. So the judges, bless their hearts, they have a
Hmm.
hard job of having all of these point systems
Yeah.
memorized. But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but I mean the athletes as you start the kata first, you're like, throw number 2 is this throw. Oh my God, throw number 3 is this throw. And you're just trying to remember the order.
Yeah, that's one thing
Um,
that would get me, like remembering the order. And then, yeah, even if you're competing, you get a little nervous, right? And you're like, then you might forget like a step or something, like
yeah,
a technique, which would be like a huge point off, I guess.
it builds, right? You're
Yeah,
like first tournament, you just want to know the order. At your
yeah,
first couple tournaments, you just want to know the order. And then the next time you're like, okay, don't make this big medium mistake that you made 7 times.
yeah.
Okay, next time don't make this small mistake that you made. So you progressively worry about the points
Hmm.
as you get better at the kata.
Would you say are the best, like the countries for kata? Is it Japan? Like that would be like
Yeah,
the obvious one,
that's
but like, is
they're
there
amazing.
like some really strong countries in kata?
Um, Europe actually has phenomenal kata.
Hmm.
So you're in a good place to learn, Hannah. You're in a good place to learn.
She's gotta find a
Um,
partner. No one wants.
your husband literally lives with you and knows
Yeah,
judo.
he would absolutely hate doing kata with me, honestly. Like, okay, he actually just did kata like with the IJF Academy a few years ago. They had to do kata.
Yeah,
They had to do
yeah,
kata. Uh,
yeah.
he said he took a million falls, bruises all over because he's a coach who doesn't take falls, like
I know. Yeah,
Um, and I think we're good partners, like in life, but I think in judo we would like totally
kill
be
each
the
other.
worst partners.
fair
He
because
knows this too.
we have the same thing with Allah because he's the same way. He actually decided he wants to find someone else from the club to learn Goshen with so that he can go against me at
He
nationals.
wants to compete against you. I love that. So it's like you could have like a little like competition going on in the house and see who's better.
Yeah.
I actually, I'm sorry, Allah, I think you would win. I think you would win. Like, sorry.
So I guess I do understand not doing it with your husband
Yeah,
because
so I
I
have to
would
find
also
a
kill
partner.
him.
Maybe
Yeah.
I have to go around the because I'm like, I go to like the Olympic Training Center and obviously those athletes do not want to do kata. I probably have to go
No.
to some of the local dojos in Austria and be like, "Hi."
Just say you want to learn it and then just slowly trick them with your competitive spirit into competing.
Oh, man,
Just
competing.
just start with learning.
Yeah, I'm looking for something in my life that's like competition because I miss competition. And there's that little voice in my head, it's, you can still compete, you can still do it. And I'm like, oh, but like I know
Right.
the risk and the hurt and the pain of doing judo.
I
Um,
know.
so I think this might be something I would try. Maybe you convince me. Talking to you
Yeah.
has convinced me to do kata. But
Well, look, I'll say this, because I get the voice. I really miss Shiai sometimes, and every once in a while, like maybe I'll do veterans
yeah.
something someday. But before I get on the mat for kata and we're like doing our bow-in,
Mhm.
I have two different kata partners because people get injured and stuff gets weird, and so it's
Mhm.
nice having two different partners. But they both say to me that you can see in my eyes as I bow in the like click happening from
Mhm.
like practice Kristen to like competition Kristen
Yeah. Yeah.
of like we're doing this
It's go
and
time. Yeah.
yeah, like I'm gonna beat the crap out of you because it's supposed to be
Yeah.
pretend fighting
Yeah.
and there's
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes I can't look at you because it's scary.
I see your eyes and you're like so intense and you're like, whoa, it's kata. Like we're not fighting. Like
Yeah, but like, you get on the mat and you feel like your adrenaline starts pumping and you're doing judo
yeah.
and you're just, you want to really do the throw and do things clean and you have all of that same Shiai
Oh,
vibe going. It feels so good.
I want that. I miss it so much. And I think that's like what you talk to a lot of people that retire. They miss this adrenaline that you can't really get,
Yeah,
in life. It's different.
I
It's
know.
amazing. This like when you like bow on the mats, you're like, you do the little hits and you're like, oh, it's a go. It's so yeah. And yeah, the way the tummy feels, for competition, it's like a crispier mat than the one at home, and you're yeah. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, maybe this is my way back into
Yeah, find someone at a local club. And then it's funny because now that I do three katas, like doing three, you leave and you're like tired. So I'm
yeah,
like, oh, I feel like I really did a lot of
I
work today.
train, yeah, yeah,
So um you can make it what you want of it, you
yeah.
can have it just be a training tool of like learning a technique here and there on the side after practice or like something to work towards competing in. I know in the US they're trying to add a lot more competition opportunities. They're having like an East Coast championships and a West
Oh,
Coast and a
amazing.
city. Yeah, and they're offering prize money at some stuff.
Mhm.
So there's more incentives. There's even a U22 like world championship options. They're trying to get kids that,
Hmm.
may not be their strong suit.
Yeah.
So getting kids into it as well. But I don't know. It's like a magical little way to stay in judo if you
Mhm.
can't do judo the way you used to.
Yeah, or like you said, if you're not, because like you said, like competition isn't for everyone. Like competing on the IJF tour isn't for everyone, and it's absolutely okay,
Yeah.
actually. It's really fine. Everyone is different, and but judo is judo, and there's a great community in judo. And I, like you said, like the kata community is very open, welcoming, and it's really important, the community aspect, I think. So you're not,
Yes.
because like in judo, it's really like, it's an independent sport. You're alone. Oh, like it's so hard to be focused here because your baby
I'm
just like
so sorry.
no, it's great. Don't say sorry. It's just so awesome, so cute. She's so cute. I only see the back of her head, but I'm just like, babies. What was I saying? Oh my gosh, lost my train of thought. Oh, anyways, I forgot. Like, sorry. Babies, they
I
just
know they're very distracting.
they're yeah, very distracting. But let's tell me how it's gonna be. You're going to the Pan Ams soon, so what is your training gonna look like from here on out, and how are you gonna balance it all?
Great question.
I laugh a little bit because I know I have one, but like two, I like can't imagine. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm real lucky that my husband did judo as a judo coach. Like he understands you need time to train and he's super supportive, which helps, right?
yeah,
Um, and my partners are super supportive. So if I have to bring a baby along to practice, they are like
yeah,
happy to have her mat side.
yeah.
Um, so we're gonna go to East Coast Championships in August. So we
Hmm.
have a couple weeks till that, and we'll train a couple times a week. Summer, so not too much.
Hmm.
But just to clean up mistakes that we made from nationals, and then we usually put together, like it's very nerdy. We usually put together an Excel sheet that lists out like on these days we're going to work on these specific techniques, and that way we can like kata's a lot of off mat training of like looking up videos
Hmm.
and seeing what's being done internationally to say like my hand might be maybe I want it here and not here.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Little tiny things. So you do a lot of like online homework to figure out exactly what you want to try to fix or train from your notes and from feedback from judges at tournaments. And so we have like a whole rubric laid out of like these are the four techniques that are the worst. So we always have to practice those four, but
Wow.
then we need to get through everything else. So how are we going to organize our training time to hit 21 techniques or,
Yeah. Wow. 21 techniques. Crazy.
um,
That's cool. Really cool. But I think that's great to organize your training in a way so it's very efficient. Sounds very efficient. And that's important.
that's what you have to do with two kids, limited training time.
Make your training times, maximize them. I always used to like when when I was training after having Zoe, my daughter, like I was just like I'm here for this time and this is my time because like I didn't have much me time and like I need to like make the best of it. Come in there with also it has to do with like an attitude, like come in there, with a positive attitude, ready to go and ready to work. And I would look around me sometimes and yeah, I would see these young kids and they're like, I'm so tired. And I'm like, how are you tired? Like, what is like, and they're like complaining about their like life being so hard. And I'm like, man, I'm running on like caffeine and like 3 hours of sleep and I'm here and I'm ready, like,
Yep.
and I'm just like,
Yep.
I'm so happy to be here. I was just like, you don't understand the privilege you have your life to be able to do a sport and have all the time in the world to rest, recover, and this and like I used to kind of go crazy in my head and I'm just like don't worry about them. Like you're here, have fun, and yeah, they're tired, but they don't understand what tired is until, until they're.
No, no, you
So
don't.
this used to kind of drive me crazy, and then and then I'm going back into the time pre-baby, and I was like, took a lot of things for granted, those training times, and now I really like, yeah, it's just different perspective in life after having kids. But I think it makes you stronger in different ways. There's really such thing as
100%.
mom strength. Not like it's mom's strength here. It's like you just become so more adaptable and like ready for anything, honestly. Like doesn't matter.
100%.
Right?
Like nothing can like throw you off,
Yeah,
you know?
especially when you have a toddler, you're just like, what's gonna happen today? Like,
Whatever. And we're just gonna keep going. Like it's fine.
yes. Last question. You are a judo family, and so are you planning on getting your son, your daughter into judo? What is your family goals for your
I run a like a mommy and me class in our dojo for like 2 to 4 year olds and their parents. And so our oldest has done that a little bit, and he's technically old enough for the little kids class now.
Okay.
Um, but we're trying hard to like not pressure
Yeah.
and make it something he wants to do. But he thinks he's an old man and only wants to get on the mat during adults class and like says like, "Oh, I'll be sensei for the little kids. Like I know how to teach." Like, okay, 4 year old.
He's like 4, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Like, let's have you go run the 6 year olds class. Yeah. Um, so I think we're hopeful that he and her like it and want to do it, but we're trying hard to have it be them saying, I want to practice today and not us shoving it
Pushing
down
it,
their
yeah.
throat.
I want the same for my daughter and hopefully future kids. Like I want them to love it like I did. I fell in love with it. My parents didn't force me to do it. I basically begged them to do judo. So like I love judo and you can't make someone love it. So I really hope
I
like
know.
yeah, I hope for your kids too. Like they just like yeah, fall in love with it. So because yeah, we're here because we love judo, right? So
I know. I know. I know. They'll be around the mat no matter what. So,
yes.
you know,
Well, Kristen, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're home with your daughter and have millions of things on your plate, but thank you so much and good luck at the panel.
thank you, Hannah.